Welcome aboard! Join me as we dive into the legendary battleships of the World Wars, exploring their history, firepower, and the battles that shaped naval warfare. So let's set sail into the past. This is the story of the battleship USS Texas. The Lone Star Titan, the story of USS Texas. Beneath the waves of history, few warships have left a legacy as enduring as USS Texas. Born in an era when battleships were the kings of the sea, Texas was a symbol of American naval power, a steel titan, bristling with firepower, destined to fight across 2 world wars and stand the test of time. Commissioned on March 12, 1914, she was the second and final ship of the New York-class battleships, built to wield a devastating, powerful broadside. At 573 feet long, weighing in at just over 34,000 tons fully loaded, and protected by 12 inches of armor plating, she was a fortress afloat. But her true might lay in her 10 14-inch, 356mm guns. Mounted in 5 twin turrets, capable of unleashing destruction on enemies miles away. She was also armed with 21 5-inch, 127mm guns, smaller but deadly, meant to fend off enemy ships and aircraft. Yet, the world she was born into was already changing. The era of ironclad giants was evolving, and Texas would be called upon to prove her worth in battle not once, but twice, during the defining wars of the 20th century. Trial by fire, World War I, 1917 to 1918. When the United States entered World War I in 1917, Texas was ready. She patrolled the Atlantic, standing as a guardian against the German high seas fleet. Though she never engaged in a direct battleship duel, she joined the Grand Fleet in the North Sea, where her presence alone was a deterrent to German ambitions. As the war ended, Texas returned home, her guns silent but her name recognized among the most formidable battleships of her time. But peace was never permanent, and by the late 1930s, the world was on fire once again. World War II, 1941 to 1945. By the time the United States was dragged into World War II, Texas was unfortunately no longer a cutting-edge battleship. Newer battleships, like the massively armored Iowa class, dwarfed her in speed, firepower, and armor. But Texas was battle-hardened and modernized, her aging systems updated with new radar, her anti-aircraft defenses strengthened, and her guns still capable of leveling fortifications and warships alike. In 1942, she was sent to the Atlantic, where she saw action in Operation Torch, the Allied invasion of North Africa. Off the coast of Morocco, Texas opened fire on Vichy French coastal defenses, pounding their positions as American troops stormed ashore. Her first real taste of battle had come, and she had performed with deadly precision, but the greatest challenge lay ahead, the largest amphibious invasion in history, D-Day. D-Day and the Wrath of the Texas, June 6, 1944. As the first light of dawn bled across the stormy skies of Normandy, the sea churned with an armada of steel and fire. Among them, the battleship USS Texas surged forward, her massive guns primed to unleash hell upon the enemy. Ahead lay Omaha Beach, a death trap of machine gun nests, artillery, and bunkers carved into the cliffs, waiting to tear apart the waves of American troops struggling toward shore. Then came the roar. With a thunderous salvo, Texas opened fire, her 14-inch guns hurling devastation upon the German fortifications. The ground trembled as shells rained down, shattering concrete, silencing pillboxes, and sending debris and bodies skyward. But still, the enemy fought back, and the carnage on the beach was relentless. American forces were pinned down, cut down before they could even reach cover. Desperation called for risk. Texas pressed forward, so dangerously close to shore that she deliberately flooded portions of her own hull, tilting herself to gain precious elevation for her guns. It was a gamble, but one she was willing to take. Round after round, her shells tore deep into the enemy's defenses, blasting apart strongholds and clearing a path for the men clawing their way off the blood-soaked sands. But Texas's war was far from over. Weeks later, she turned her guns on Cherbourg, where the Germans had fortified themselves for a final stand. Here, the hunter became the hunted. Enemy shore batteries locked onto Texas and struck with deadly precision. A 240mm shell smashed through her conning tower, killing crewmen in a fiery explosion. Smoke and chaos consumed the deck, but the battleship refused to falter. Wounded but unbowed, Texas fired back, engaging in a brutal duel against the entrenched German gunners. blow for blow, she rained fury upon the enemy until, at last, their guns fell silent. The city was taken. The battle was won, and though she bore the scars of war, USS Texas stood victorious. The Pacific Theater, 1945. With Europe on the path to victory, USS Texas turned to the Pacific, where the war burned with unrelenting ferocity. Here, the enemy did not surrender, they fought to the last man. First came Iwo Jima. In February 1945, Texas joined the armada gathered off the island's black volcanic shores. The enemy lay hidden in bunkers and tunnels, waiting. But Texas struck first. Her 14-inch guns thundered, sending massive shells crashing into the island, tearing apart defenses, blasting artillery nests, and carving craters into the rocky landscape. For weeks, she rained fire, supporting the Marines as they clawed their way through the inferno, inch by bloody inch. Then came Okinawa, the costliest battle of the Pacific War. The island had become a fortress, its hills and caves transformed into a maze of death. From April to June, Texas fought in the thick of it, hammering entrenched Japanese positions as kamikaze aircraft swarmed the fleet. The skies became a battlefield. Enemy planes screamed toward the ship, engines wailing, pilots determined to die. Texas fired back, her anti-aircraft batteries spewing flak and flame, turning the sky into a maelstrom of burning wreckage. Some bombers fell. Some got through. But Texas stood her ground. On land, the battle raged for weeks, the island swallowed in fire and fury. Through it all, Texas remained relentless. Her guns answering every enemy resistance with brutal force. By the time Okinawa fell, she had helped pave the way for final victory. It would be her last battle. When the war ended, Texas had nothing left to prove. She had fought across 2 oceans, her steel battered, her decks bloodied, but her legend unbreakable. The last dreadnought's next battle, moored in the waters of Porte, Texas, USS Texas rests in quiet dignity. The echoes of her mighty guns have faded, replaced by the whispers of the waves against her steel hull. Once a warrior of the high seas, she now stands as a museum, her decks walked not by sailors but by visitors eager to glimpse history. But time has not been kind to Texas. Decades of exposure to the elements have worn her down, and rust eats away at the once impenetrable armor that withstood enemy fire. She has fought many battles, but now she faces her greatest yet. Survival. Recognizing the need for preservation, efforts began to save the last dreadnought. In 2022, a bold plan was set in motion. Texas would be dry-docked and fully restored, sealing her against decay. It's a massive undertaking, one worthy of a ship that saw 2 world wars. Her future. A new, permanent home where she can stand proudly for generations to come, telling the story of steel, fire, and courage. Though she may never sail again, USS Texas still fights not with guns, but against time itself, and if history has taught us anything, it's that Texas never backs down from a battle. Thank you for watching. Please like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for new Battleship videos. See you later and Godspeed.